Jennifer Cox learned 12 years ago that her kidneys were failing. She had been born with a defect that left her kidneys unusually small. Without a new kidney, she would face a life on dialysis, or worse, she could die. She was placed on a waiting list for a transplant.
I did not believe that just because I was on the list that I was going to be getting a kidney tomorrow or next week, next month, even next year.
But within a few months, there was good news.
It was about 10 o'clock and the phone rang and I answered it, and it was my doctor on the line, and I have no idea what I was thinking, because when I heard his voice I was like, "Oh, hello, and you have a kidney for me?" And he said, "Yes, I do."
A total stranger, Toby Jones, had chosen to become an organ donor.
We were excited, but at the same time, we realized that somebody had lost a loved one, and we actually stopped and prayed for that family because we knew while we were rejoicing, someone was grieving.
After her transplant, Jennifer wanted to do something for Toby's wife.
Immediately when I got home, I got on the computer and wrote her a thank you. You know, your mom teaches you to always to say thank you for gifts, so when you get a huge life-saving gift, you know, that's the first thing I wanted.
Jennifer wrote her 3 times but did not hear back. Then, a few months later, a response. Beverly Jones wanted to meet Jennifer face to face.
Now that was a sleepless night because I didn't know how she would receive me, but when she opened the door, we just fell into each other's arms and just cried, so it was very emotional. She took me in and showed me pictures of her husband and told me a lot about his life. And even though I knew he was a real person, but he became real to me.
Toby Jones' generosity gave Jennifer a second life.
It's so important to talk to your family about donation, because I think had Mr. and Mrs. Jones not had that conversation, where would I have been on July 29th, of 1995? So I really do believe that him donating that organ to me saved my life. So it's very important to have that conversation. It can really save lives. It does save lives.
Hi, good morning.
Mario Romero was born with a serious heart defect. So serious that by the time he was 12, it was difficult for him to even get out of bed. Mario needed a new heart.
As the time got closer to my transplant, I noticed that I was getting a lot more exhausted, a lot more tired. Towards after I was signed onto the list, I would come home from school and I would just go to bed. I was really tired all the time and really fatigued. It's just, hard to see how things would have turned out, if I hadn't gotten an organ donation.
Mario's transplant operation was successful. The new heart changed his life.
I was like a totally new person, and my family saw that. I was able just to, enjoy life itself, just go outside and run around, play with my cousins and my mom and dad, and I have to worry about nothing anymore.
Mario says he is alive today because someone decided to become an organ donor.
I probably wouldn't have been here today, and it's kind of sad because my mom passed away 3 years after I had my transplant. So, it's just kind of hard to see how that would have left my dad alone.
An important step in becoming an organ donor is to discuss your decision with your family and let them know your wishes for when you die.
At that moment, it takes away, a lot of the heartache, of having to make that decision. Hopefully they, when they find out, if whoever receives the organ donation, that's a little bit more comforting to know that the part of whoever they lost is still living on.
He was the starting JV quarterback, sophomore year, National Honor Student. Life was good for Clay Jones. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The team had gone out to practice, and out of the blue, lightning struck. The sun was shining. It was an August day, which we experience many of those when it's very hot and electric, and nobody envisioned that there would be lightning. He took the direct hit from the lightning.
Clay Jones was seriously hurt. He was taken to a medical center, but would live for only 5 days. Yet during his family's ordeal, Linda Jones remembered something Clay had told her only a few weeks before.
We had talked about organ donation 3 different times, which I find unusual because he was a healthy 16-year-old. That's not a topic of conversation that you typically think about. Clay said to me, I don't know why anyone wouldn't be an organ donor if they could no longer use their things. I knew at the time that was a special conversation, but less than 30 days later, we were making the decision for Clay to become an organ donor.
Clay's decision to become an organ donor, a decision honored by his family, would have a profound impact on the lives of others.
We know that he restored sight to 2 people through his gift of corneas. We know that both his kidneys went to 2 different gentlemen that were on dialysis and were not doing well and probably would not have lived much longer. What a wonderful gift to know that your child is still living through his organ and tissue donations. And it took a 16-year-old to teach me about organ donation because I was very much opposed to it. That's very powerful and very meaningful for our entire family. And I see Clay smiling about that.
Meet Nefertarius McPherson. She's a bright and busy law student attending Southern Methodist University. But looks can be deceiving. Nefertarius has a rare and serious liver disorder. So serious that doctors plan to put her on the waiting list for a liver transplant. A transplant that can save her life.
I'm only 33 years old. If you would have talked to me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, I would have thought that I would have never imagined I would be in this position. I would have never thought that, I would one day be possibly faced with the notion of having to get a liver transplant. And it's kind of scary when you think that there aren't enough donors.
In fact, once she's put on the waiting list, she will join more than 96,000 nationwide in need of a transplant. Sadly, more than 450 people died last year in Texas alone, waiting for a transplant that never happened because there weren't enough organ donors.
Someone has to die, and someone has to be willing to give up their organ to make sure that you can have a better life. And I think that's very profound when you think about it. It's like even once you're gone, you're still helping others. You're still trying to benefit others, and you can't help be grateful for that selflessness.
Despite the odds, Nefertarius remains hopeful that someday she will receive the liver that she needs.
You would have no idea that I have all this madness going on inside of me. And I'm that one person that you might help make a difference. And that, you will breathe life into me.
You have the power to donate life. Becoming an organ and tissue donor is simple and easy. You can sign up when you apply for or renew your driver license. Or you can register online in English or Spanish at any time. Either way, you'll be listed on the Glenda Dawson Donate Life Texas Registry, the state's database of individuals officially registered to be organ and tissue donors.
If you want to be sure that your wish to be a donor is carried out, then all you have to do is go to www.donatelifetexas.org and register there to be a donor, and no one will be able to take that away from you.